In America, every 33 minutes, someone in this country dies in an alcohol-related crash. About 2 out of 5 Americans will be involved in an alcohol-related crash at some time in their lives, and many will be innocent victims. Alcohol involvement is the single greatest factor in motor vehicle deaths and injuries. Driving under the influence, DUI, is one of the most dangerous words a person could ever hear. It is damaging to the person who is intoxicated and also to those that are around them. Nothing good will come from drinking and driving. In my report, I will talk about 4 major components of a DUI. They are: what exactly is a DUI, the dangers of driving under the influence, who is most at danger from obtaining a DUI, and finally the penalties and cost a person will receive from getting a DUI. To begin, I will tell you about what a DUI is. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a DUI is the act or crime of driving while affected by alcohol or drugs. A person who is arrested for or convicted of driving under the influence, an arrest or conviction for driving under the influence. As a person can clearly see from this definition, a DUI is not only affected by alcohol, but is affected by drugs as well. Drug driving means taking the wheel while under the influence of any illicit, prescription, or over-the-counter drug. Therefore, taking drugs and operating a vehicle is just the same as drinking alcohol and operating a vehicle. The results are the same for each. Marijuana is one of the main drugs abused by drivers. It will have just as much effect on a person as alcohol will. It causes physical problems and also mental problems to a driver. The THC within marijuana causes extreme effects on the brain and body, making it dangerous when driving under the influence. Approximately 6 to 11% of fatal accident victims test positive for THC according to national studies. Your mind won't be able to process what you need in order to drive clearly without any obstruction to your mentality. Drugs affect the brain and central nerve system, resulting in possible disorientation, drowsiness, memory loss, or sleep driving. So, driving while intoxicated with alcohol or drugs will end up getting you a DUI. To continue, I'm going to talk about who is at danger the most from receiving a DUI. In the United States, 12.8% of fatal traffic crashes were alcohol-related, and 40% of that number involved teens driving while drinking alcohol. This shows that the largest percentage of vehicle accidents are the direct results of teens driving and drinking while operating a vehicle. Teenagers will go to parties and start to drink or do drugs. They will not think about the dangers of driving while intoxicated and think that they are able to drive without trouble. Prom and graduation are among the biggest events where teenagers and college students feel the need to go party. Yes, even college students do go out and party. And they make their own decision. Some are not as mature as they should be and feel like they need to go out and have a good time drinking and doing drugs to escape the stress of school and responsibilities. College students are probably higher up on the DUI list than those that are teenagers in high school. They just become careless and want to have fun. This decision ultimately leads to accidents and sometimes deaths. The third thing I would like to inform you about is the dangers you will encounter by driving under the influence. 2 that I would like to talk about are car accidents and, unfortunately, fatalities. A person driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs is at danger to the well-being of themselves and others. The first I would like to mention are car accidents, which are one of the biggest dangers. After a person starts to drink, their mental capacity starts to become less clear. Alcohol levels as low as 0.02%, well under the legal limit in many states, can lessen the capacity to reason, making it difficult to plan ahead or respond appropriately to one's immediate surroundings. It becomes very challenging for the impaired driver to be fully aware of their actions on the road. As soon as this happens and the driver stops paying attention to the road, traffic accidents are likely to take place. Also, the reaction time of a driver under the influence is not up to par compared to a person who is sober and not intoxicated. The reaction time of a driver under the influence is significantly lower and slower and causes a major danger while on the road. The driver may not act quickly enough to a vehicle that has stopped in front of them or has slowed down. Even at a red light, the perception of the driver to stop on time would be off and would result in the driver to not slow down fast enough and collide with another vehicle. The second danger I would like to mention are fatalities. Unfortunately, each year we lose people to vehicle-related accidents caused by vehicle operators that have been under the influence. Motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death among teens aged 16 to 19 in the United States. In 2010, a total of 2,211 passenger vehicles, occupants aged 16 to 19 years, died in crashes on public roadways. 1,280, 58%, were drivers. Innocent people are included in these fatalities when an intoxicated driver is reckless and ends up colliding with another vehicle. Some research data indicated that male drivers in the 21 to 34-year-old age group constituted the greatest risk for fatal crashes involving drinking and driving. Around prom time is when a lot of fatalities can occur. I know one personally that affected one of my friends. His brother and friends were heading somewhere after prom. They were not drinking, but unfortunately that did not matter. A drunk driver was driving the opposite direction they were and swerved into their lane. The intoxicated driver was fine after the crash, but others weren't as lucky. My friend's brother was not as fortunate and lost his life that night. His friends were severely injured and were lucky to survive. That drunk driver's decision to drink that night cost him another's life. He probably thought that he was capable of getting in a vehicle and driving down the road to a buddy's house with no problem after having a few drinks. He was wrong. Last but not least, I would like to talk about the different types of penalties and costs of receiving a DUI. Different states have different policies relating to DUIs. I will just talk about the penalties and costs in the Mississippi law. For those that are under 21 years of age, your blood alcohol content, BAC, can only be 0.02%. If you are 21 years of age and older, you're allowed a 0.08% BAC. If you get pulled over and are accused of driving under the influence, you have a choice to take the chemical test to see if you really have been drinking, but there are consequences to your actions. If you decide to refuse the test, you will be penalized with a suspension of your license for 90 days with no jail time on your first offense. For your second offense, your license will be suspended for 1 year with a minimum of 5 days in jail. On your third offense of refusal to take the chemical test, you will again have your license suspended for another year and a minimum of 1 year in jail. On the other hand, if you do choose to take the test and are charged with a DUI, then you will have several penalties and costs. A person convicted with a first offense DUI will be looking up to 48 hours in jail, a fine ranging from $250 to $1,000, and your license suspended for 90 days. You can obtain a hardship driving privilege after 30 days. On top of all these penalties, there are other options that can be added to your sentence. A person with a first offense DUI could have to complete an alcohol safety education program or attend victim impact panel. For every other DUI a person obtains, the penalties increase and become more severe. A third offense DUI is considered a felony, and a third offense DUI is subjected to a minimum of 1 year in jail up to 5 years in jail, and your license will be taken away for 5 years. Also, by getting charged with a DUI, you will have a harder time finding a job. I know personally, if you would like to become an auditor for the IRS, you cannot have any kind of bad record, especially one involving a vehicle. A DUI is basically guaranteeing that you do not get a job as an auditor with the IRS. Other future employers look at your records as well when they start the interview process. These are the many penalties and costs of receiving a DUI. To sum things up, a DUI is nothing but a bad choice that any person can make. I have talked about 4 things in my paper to show you what all is involved with the DUI. I first talked about what a DUI actually is. It is not only alcohol, but it is also drugs. Then I mentioned who is most at danger in receiving a DUI. In my research, I found that teens ages 16 to 19 and also college students are most at risk. Next, I elaborated on the dangers of driving under the influence. Those that drive under the influence can cause vehicle accidents and sometimes death. Finally, I told about the penalties and costs that a person will pay for being charged with a DUI. A person can be looking at their license suspended, jail time, attending different programs, community service, and fines. The result for receiving a DUI is not great and will cause you to become a person with a record, causing it to be hard in finding a job. Therefore, I urge everyone that drinks to stay off the road, and if you must travel somewhere after having a few drinks, then designate a driver who is sober to drive you to your destination.